All right. So after this, we had Jericho versus Harper in what was slowly becoming a match of the night contender, but got cut off far too early.
Yeah, I was perturbed by that as well. I'm a huge fan of Harper's work, and Jericho's just been stellar
I
this run
love
in.
Bray Wyatt as far as mic work goes, but Harper is by far my favorite in the Wyatt family when it comes to in-ring.
Definitely. I'm not even going to give you any arguments, and you know I love Bray Wyatt. I think he delivers in ring when he needs to, but as far as like all around, just blows my mind with what he can do. Yeah, Luke Harper all day, every day. I mean, again, I've gone to calling it a typical suicide dive in this huge man's offense. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Bray Wyatt, that is where the interruption comes way too soon. Jericho got in the walls of Jericho on Harper. Then we get the Wyatt family cutaway and comes back on, and there is Bray Wyatt. Tries to distract Jericho. Jericho, though, still hits the code breaker on Harper. Then Bray comes back in and pretty much nails the Samoan spike to Chris Jericho. He pretty much taped thumb and he hit Jericho in the throat. Commentary noted it. Of course, it caused the DQ finish. So now, just to put it all in perspective, Harper and Rowan are banned from ringside.
But to put it into even more perspective, Bray Wyatt caused himself to lose Luke Harper at ringside. He wanted Harper to not be at ringside. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten Harper disqualified.
Very good point. Very good point. But see, here's my thing, and I don't know how you feel about this, so let's just talk it out real quick. My problem is Jericho won clean at the last pay-per-view, and I could have swore that the Wyatt family was at ringside. I don't even remember them getting ejected. So Jericho won clean even with their presence. What's to stop me from thinking that he can't do it
I didn't
again?
think the Wyatt family were at ringside. I thought that because they were in a tag team match earlier that night.
You know what? You may be right about that, because they did have a tag title match. But I felt like because they lost, they were able to, accompany Bray to make sure at least one Wyatt family member got a win that night. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check. But if they were at ringside, my contention is, what does it really matter if they're gone? If anything, thinking about it from what we've seen, Bray should lose. But, of course, you and I know, and one of our favorite moments is when he beat Daniel Bryan by himself at Royal Rumble. So I think that pretty much assures that he's going to do the same thing with Chris Jericho, which makes me love it. So
do you know what I just realized?
What's that?
The WWE could actually use stuff like this to promote the network. Like, rather than just randomly, oh, we just got back from commercial, buy the network. They could be like, oh, we just saw the finish of Chris Jericho versus Luke Harper, and now it's going to be Jericho versus Wyatt one-on-one at SummerSlam. You should buy the network so you can watch Jericho versus Wyatt from Battleground.
That's a great idea. Because I think, A, it keeps the stories flowing, and B, you're able to sell the network. Yeah, I think that's another problem. They do a great job, at least with their main stories, of continuity and this and that, and referencing points. But you can make it even greater.
The network should be the WWE's opportunity that they can take to start acting as if there is like a win-loss record in WWE. Because with the whole Cena-Lesnar thing, they're saying go back and watch their match from 2012. Well, with Bray Wyatt versus Chris Jericho, they could say go back and watch their match from Battleground. Then you could say with Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins that they've never had a match before, but go back and watch all of these matches with the Shield so you can see what it looks like when they're in the ring together. Like, they could use current programs to tell people at home to go back and watch matches on the network, so they're plugging the network kind of subtly to find out, like, to try and predict what's going to happen. Because that's the one thing that people can relate to with the WWE. Everybody loves trying to predict the winner of competitions. Like, with football, with baseball, basketball, it doesn't matter. Everybody's discussions are always who's going to win. Nobody cares. Like, for casual fans, nobody cares, oh, well, who cut the better promo? No, it's who's going to win the match. Now, granted, people like you and I and people that are really, really hardcore wrestling fans are going to talk about the promos and stuff like that. But the casual fans are more worried about who won, who lost. And if you can give them that little bit of an edge, even though it's not really an edge. It's just from a kayfabe perspective. You can give them that little bit of an edge when they're predicting who's going to win the matches with all their buddies when they're watching the pay-per-view by saying, hey, these two have history. Go back on the network and check out some of their other matches that they've had, and maybe you can predict who's going to win this next match better.
That's an excellent point. I'm not even really going to touch it because I think that's an excellent argument you just made. With that said, I don't really remember the last matchup with Jericho and Bray, whether the Wyatt family were at ringside or not. But if they were, then, in that
But, John, that's the thing. You could go back on the network to see.
In fact, I should have done that while you were making your song. Like, man, this is genius. Let me just go on the network real quick and find out. But, it should be a great matchup. I do think they'll do better than they did in their last encounter, and I do expect Bray to get the win. Man, I wish we were talking about the Wyatt family in a more dominant context right now, because it does feel like
because of how dominant they were on NXT. NXT spoiled us with the Wyatt family, man.
They did, man. I mean, Harper and Rowan were NXT Tag Team Champions, and it was a dream of mine, as a fan, to see them holding the WWE Tag Team titles. But the Usos got in the way. Only the Ascension can remain to stop.
I have good news, though, John.
What's that?
The Usos weren't on this show tonight.
That's true. Sheamus, I guess, was still coming down with the flu because he wasn't on this show either. John Cena wasn't. Well, at least in the interview context. So
yeah, that's so weird. This marks the second time in 3 episodes of Raw that we didn't have the Usos, Sheamus, or John Cena in this show.
Crazy to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, and it also marks the second week in a row that a Divas non-match but talking segment main evented the show.
Oh, that'll be interesting to talk about because I thoroughly enjoyed that.
All right, up next we had Fandango versus Diego with just all kinds of shenanigans outside the ring. Diego comes out with El Torito, Summer Rae, and Layla, and then Fandango comes out with his new dance partner who, on the network, he said had the longest of legs that he was going to use for his dancing. Ended up being frickin' Hornswoggle, which was, some people thought this was horrible. I thought it was freaking hilarious because when Hornswoggle comes out rocking that dance vest, I was laughing my tail off. And then frickin' Hornswoggle gets in the ring and does a split. That was hilarious. Then they did the dance thing, got to the ring. Like I said, Hornswoggle did the split that the dancers usually do, which was just great because then Fandango had to pick him up. Very, very quick match. Diego gets the pin with the backstabber, whatever you want to call it. And then afterwards, everyone dances, except for Fandango because he's just angry.
And sad. Angry and sad. Yeah, that was a pretty succinct review. Spoke for me as well. Here's the thing. I would have been so excited if it was, like, say, a new NXT women's wrestler, debuting as his dancer, and now he could finally start getting on track. But here's the thing, like you said, I know people are going to find this to be horrible, like, oh, poor Fandango, or oh, I hate Hornswoggle. And heck, I'm right there with him. I have no love lost for Hornswoggle at all. But Fandango is, at the end of the day, a comedy-esque gimmick. If you were expecting anything more than that, I at least thought maybe a new actual female was a bit more realistic because of the whole story. Like, he's already spited 2 lovers, so he goes out and gets a new one, and we have this whole debacle. But the fact that it was Hornswoggle, did I enjoy it? No, it's not my cup of tea, but I'm not angry about it because this is the gimmick. It's a comedy gimmick, and you shouldn't expect anything more than that.
And, dude, that's the thing. Fandango's best comedy isn't the physical comedy that he does in the ring. It's the verbal comedy. It's his promo. Like, when he was actually on the network, like, 2 segments before this, and he kept on referring to the place that they were as Austin, Massachusetts. And it just, the random verbal, I don't even want to call them botches because they're clearly intentional, but the random verbal mishaps that he uses in his vernacular are hilarious. Like when he said to Renee, "Are you even a real journalism?" It's like he's this weird hybrid between Ron Burgundy and Derek Zoolander, and it's hilarious, but he never gets to talk on TV, and it's disappointing.
It is disappointing because I completely agree with you. Like, I'm slowly beginning to figure out what comedy really resonates with me. in WWE, and part of it is, Fandango's verbal segments. Like when he first debuted Layla as the new dancer, she smells like cinnamon.
Toast crunch.
Toast crunch.
So good.
So good. Like, I don't know if the appropriate term is diction, but like his tone, his delivery, like everything.
It's
just
called
his whole speaking
comedic
style.
timing.
Yes, comedic timing. That's perfect. It's just so on point. He's great. See, and that's another thing. That's another problem I have. If you want me to laugh, and if you want to appeal to my comedic side, which of course I'm just one fan in a sea of millions, so what do I matter? Give Ryback TV time. Give Fandango promo cutting time on TV. Like, these guys are gold, but they're only showcased on the app or in this area or that area. It sucks that they don't get TV time, and you've got 3 hours to do it. It's frustrating, but it's frustrating in a good way because I can enjoy these guys. They're just not being used the right way, at least not completely. So sad.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if Ziggler, Sandow, and Fandango got just as much talking time on television as they got on the app, all three of them would become huge stars.
I agree. Or at least, Ashton, and I think that's what you mean by your definition of huge stars. They would at least all touch their ceilings. Hell, maybe even some of them would break their ceilings, but it just sucks that they don't get to maximize their minutes in the promo regard. In the ring, they deliver as much as can be expected with what they're given. But man, everybody needs to talk because personalities are everything in the WWE. And how are we going to know what your personality is if you never utter a word? So.
Exactly. Thank you for saying it so that I didn't have to. Up next, we had Renee Young backstage with Randy Orton. Orton shows us footage of his attack from Roman Reigns last week, and he cuts a promo on Reigns and threatens to kick his head off.
Yeah, he pretty much says, I don't care about Roman Reigns footage. I don't care what he did to Kane because while Kane is vicious, there is nobody more vicious, more cold, more twisted than I am. Roman Reigns is going to learn that at SummerSlam. Pretty much everything else she said, Randy Orton said as well. I'm excited for this match. I'm excited that Randy Orton at least appears to have really returned to his Viper roots. I think these two can really do something good at SummerSlam. Admittedly, from what I've read, reports from live events, I guess, of these two having matches, I guess, as a practice run, so to speak, for the SummerSlam match, the reviews have not been positive. But these two guys know how to deliver on the big stage, so we'll see what they can do when the time comes at SummerSlam.
I wonder if they're going to get a gimmick.
I don't think they will. Maybe they will because of how vicious Orton's beating was, and Roman Reigns already competing in a last man standing match earlier in this show.
Yeah.
So I could see it. So that would make that match and Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, that guaranteed to get a gimmick. And Swagger Rusev in a flag match. Don't know about AJ and Paige. I heard a rumor that would get a stip, but that is yet to play out. So we'll have to see.
Gosh. TNA's going out of business and WWE is becoming TNA.
It's like, TNA's dying, guys. Now we can be the kings of the gimmick matches. Huzzah! Yeah, it's really
Random last man standing match on Raw? We did it on SmackDown 3 months ago.
Yeah, you can't mess with us. Free TV. And you see how that's all working out for them.
Now buy the network. Buy the network. We want you to see our pay-per-views, even though we're giving you all this stuff away for free on Raw after.
So I could just watch the Raw on the network, right? Yeah, after a month.
That was a great evil laugh. Thank you.
I felt the need to do it. I'm just glad it paid off in your eyes. Anyway, you have anything else you want to say about this, man?
Up next was Bo Dallas versus R-Truth.
Now,
the third.
I have... You caught me off guard with that one. Damn it. Hold on. Okay, I'm good. All right, we need to address a very serious problem, Ashton.
It's not even a rubber match.
Resist urge to laugh. Okay, we're good. There were some blasphemers, some heretics.
Why does Bo Dallas deserve this third match?
Well, no, saying that R-Truth is going to beat Bo Dallas again. What is with all of these naysayers no longer
No, John. I'm asking why Bo Dallas deserved this third match in the first place.
Because he's inspirational and he transforms lives?
He lost to R-Truth twice in a row. As far as I'm concerned, it's back to the line.
Well, if that was the case, then how come Christian would get a world title match whenever he would be like, I just need one more match? Maybe Bo just needed one more chance to beat R-Truth, and you know what? That really was all he needed. Ever heard a third time's the charm? Well, it was for Bo Dallas, because, he got...
Yeah, I've heard a third time's the charm. Have you ever heard of grabbing someone's tights as a great cheaty way to beat them?
But we've already acknowledged that Bo's a heel. This should be expected. Bo leaving by any means necessary.
Bo leaving in cheating.
I like it. That should be his
That's a great message to send to the kids, Michael.
Oh, forget the children. What have they ever done for Bo? The moment he leaves, it's back to let's go Cena. That's not
Cena sucks.
Exactly. But yeah, Bo does get the win, grabbing the tights, which is funny because this is probably R-Truth's most aggressive performance of the three matches, so you'd really expect him to peg Bo apart, but I guess they're going to play on the line. Well, he was just so focused on hurting Bo that, he really didn't care about beating him, and that's how Bo was able to capitalize. Post-match, as he was taking his victory laps, R-Truth begins assaulting him, but Bo turns that around as well by using the steel steps to execute a running Bo dog onto the floor. So yeah, Bo's stock just went up a few points today, Ashton.
There were literally, if this was a movie, my review would be literally everybody in this movie was a douchebag, and I had no reason to like any of them. R-Truth gets beat by Bo Dallas grabbing his trunks and then retaliates by trying to beat him down with a sneak attack. That's a douche move. Bo Dallas defended himself. And he, shockingly enough, actually ended up getting the upper hand despite R-Truth's cowardly attack.
So, for the record, you're still a believer. You're just not really proud of anybody's actions tonight.
Yeah.
I deserve that sigh, but at least you're still a believer. So that's the important thing to come out of this. I wish he was going for the Intercontinental title at SummerSlam like we theorized. That'd be awesome. But
Ziggler is. And Ziggler's on a roll.
Yeah, well, losing twice, but then finally getting this win. Like I said, I hope that if Ziggler would win at SummerSlam, Bo can get in that kind of picture. It really kind of sucks that he's still in this, even though I am enjoying it because of the promos and everything else, I want to see him do something just a little bit bigger now. I think it's time, especially now that he's gotten this R-Truth off his back. Really?
You said you wanted to see him do something a little bit bigger, John.
I guess I deserve that. So, unless
you definitely did deserve that.